Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining in and being part of this evening. This is Rahul Soni, your host. On behalf of TCS, and I welcome you to this masterclass on FinTech ecosystem and financial services industry. Artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming the financial world, making services faster, smarter, and more secure. From automating credit checks and detecting fraud to improving customer experience and enabling smarter investments, AI in fintech is changing how the financial industry operates. To help learners build skills in this growing field, IIT Guwahati, in collaboration with TCS, has launched a certificate program on AI in fintech. This program blends expert-led learning with hands-on projects to give you real exposure to how AI is applied in the finance domain. You will get more details about this course in this masterclass. So in today's masterclass, you will gain insights into the structure of the fintech space, how technology is disrupting traditional models, and what it means for future professionals. And the key highlights will be first to understand the fintech ecosystem and its key components. And the second is learn how AI is transforming banking, insurance, and finance. So whether you are from finance field, IT, or any other background, this session is great opportunity to explore the intersection of finance and technology. And most probably the guide I am guided by our esteemed speaker today. So I am honored to welcome our expert speaker, Dr. Mausami Bhattacharya ma'am from IIM Shillong, who is an associate professor in finance whose research interest spans across the field of fintech and financial services, mergers and acquisitions, corporate restructuring, corporate finance, business valuation, corporate governance, earnings management, banking, and financial econometrics. She has more than 50 scholarly research publications in peer-reviewed journals. She served on the jury for the 14th Aegis Graham Bell Award 2024, assessing breakthroughs in the banking and finance category. So most welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure, ma'am, to have you today in Masterclass. So audience, from the introduction alone, you can already sense the depth of experience and expertise she brings to the table. I would like to tell you that don't miss this valuable opportunity to engage and interact directly with the distinguished professional. So I encourage you to make the most of it. Before we dive into the core of today's masterclass, I would like to ask you, as technology continues to transform the financial world, how do you see the fintech ecosystem evolving and what kind of career opportunities are emerging in the fintech space? Also, if you can throw some light on the key skills and roles that students should be aware to build a career in this fast growing domain.
Yes, so very good evening to all those present online and obviously TCS and the others there. So yes, it has been evolving since the last decade and it has gained momentum very rapidly over the last decade. And last few years has been really fast. And today is also day when people are celebrating ChatGPT 5 has come. So you can understand maybe each day or each month wise what developments are happening. So I'll just try to focus upon the career opportunities and that too with regard to the fintech and the financial services. Yes, now technology and finance cannot be segregated separately. So those in technology, they need to know about finance, and those in finance obviously need to have a background of technology. So nothing can be segregated. So engineering, management, commerce domains have actually coming together. The people from all these fields are coming together and contributing to the development of this particular sector. So with regard to the career opportunities, what comes to my mind is there is need of fintech engineers, software developers, and it's not necessarily coding what we used to understand before. It's further beyond that. Then there are data scientists who works in artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. So specializations are there. They need to gain domain expertise on those before they venture into such career opportunities in fintech. Then there is scope which has come across the blockchain developers or architects, specifically the app development or tokenizations or smart contracts or DeFis or decentralized finance, what we talk about. So these blockchain developers are contributing a lot to the infrastructure development of all these platforms. Then RegTech has gained momentum because it's the technological applications with regard to the regulators. So across whatever fields we are in, so RegTech and compliance specialists or crypto compliance officers who specifically focus on maybe automating the KYC or regulatory reporting or compliance. So all these have gained momentum over a period, and they need to be aware specifically certain certification like CAMS, CRCM, which has become important. They need to know basically the GDPR compliance, the data protection compliance of 2018. Even in Indian context, 2023, we have came up with a personal data protection bill. So managing PSD 23. So all these knowledge are required to have some career opportunities. Cybersecurity specialists were already there, but they have also gained momentum with so many developments happening across platforms. So certain frameworks which specifically people want those joining in these fields to know about certain frameworks like SOC frameworks or NIST frameworks, which are also have gaining importance in digital finance. Then fintech product manager is a field which is being developed over a period of time. So the user experience, the design part is a bit different than other types of products because regulators play an important role in this fintech products. So fintech product managers have greater career opportunities there, and you have a scope to develop new products which fulfill the requirements of the individual people like us. Then there are ESG analyst or climate finance strategies because sustainability has become an important part. So how fintech can be integrated with all these maybe the UN developed sustainable development goals or the ESGs. So that has also become important. So how can we incorporate those things? And that is also a part of this fintech product development. Then embedded finance integration engineers are also important because there are a lot of non-financial companies who are providing these financial services like Uber Pay, Grab Pay, Amazon Pay, Google Pay. So all these were originally not tech companies, but they have ventured into this financial services. So there is a scope of those embedded finance integration engineers also here. With regard to skills, what comes to my mind is obviously soft skill is important, communication knowledge is important, which people often ignore that, okay, I am technologically competent, but I need not focus on those. So that is important. Gaining domain knowledge in what you are. You might be an engineer, you might be a management graduate, so you might be a commerce graduate, but now these lines of differences are very minute. So maybe you have to maybe move into any other field at any point of time, but there maybe the domain expertise matters, the soft skill matter. And other things, we often tell specialization in emerging technologies. So what all new technologies are coming in? So if today is chat gpt 5 or GPT-5, then something other things might come up tomorrow. So to be acquainted with all those emerging technologies, blockchain used to be a very new term a decade earlier, but it's no longer something new. Cryptos also has emerged over a period of time. So specialization in those emerging technologies, platforms, AL, ML, data science, programming knowledges like Python is quite common now, or JavaScript or DevOps, or maybe in cloud or edge computing, quantum computing, certain things which have become a part and parcel of the life. But everything has to be much more collaborative work, and agile centric mentality should be there because people don't want to spend much time. So lean is what we are focusing on. Financial literacy, specifically if I'm talking about fintech, the financial literacy, knowing about the products and the processes which are used in the fintech or the financial services industry is much more important. Yes, it goes beyond that, but what works in finance might not work in certain other domain. So I was talking about the fintech product developers. So they need to know about the finance regulation, and that is also very much country specific. What works in Indian context might not work for an European client or an American client. So you need to be aware of those regulations. And then RegTech has emerged, which I was talking about. So RegTech and compliance. So you need to be aware of anti-money laundering in the Indian context, the KYC or GDPR or PSD 2 was there. Now it's PSD 3. So all these is a part and parcel of the knowledge which an individual need to gain, and a lot of career opportunities are there.
Wow, I think there is a huge list of roles and possibilities in fintech, what ma'am has already mentioned. And what I can say is the future of finance is not just digital today, it's more intelligent way. And AI is not just a tool, it's the new currency of innovation in fintech. Thank you, ma'am, for that insightful beginning. And it's now time to explore the subject in greater detail. We are waiting for that, and we are eager to listen to you more about AI in fintech. So over to you, ma'am, for the masterclass.
Okay, so I will share the slides. Just give me a second. I think it's visible. Then we can start.
Yeah,
Is it visible?
it's visible.
Okay. Let me start. So I was just talking about this fintech ecosystem because I'll be focusing more on the finance aspect of this ecosystem and how it has led to evolve the financial services industry over a time. So the first thing which often comes to our mind is, what is fintech? Is it something new? Is the term new? Is it something the banks or insurance companies or mutual funds or the stock market, where we in a day in and day out associated with? Is it something new they are doing, and that is why the term has evolved? That, to be frank, it's not that new, because the term financial technology has long been there in 1980s and 90s, where banks were the pertinent user of the technology. Maybe the other financial services like mutual funds, markets, financial markets, or derivatives market, they were not using it in that sense. But the banks were the pertinent user. But much of that was used to develop their own services rather than the develop to individuals or help individuals. And that gradually led to the transformation when the technology revolution happened. And we are aware of the industry 1, industry 2, and industry 4.0, and industry 5 obviously is there. So that actually made technology easily accessible. So what we tell, technology is no longer a pertinent copyright of IT specialists. So even common people are aware of many things. So the use of smartphones, the technology revolutions, then the regulatory shift that has happened over a period of time, availability of products at a very lesser cost, all has led to the development of the fintech ecosystem. And that had changed the financial services industry as a whole. The way maybe we might have interacted with the mutual fund agents or insurance agents, or maybe interacted with the financial market, or maybe banks, that has changed over a period of time. No longer we need to visit those banks, or no longer we need to contact those agents to get hold of all these services. All these are available today by sitting at home, by using the apps. So what has led to these revolution, or evolution would be a better term, that we will talk about very briefly. So this is just to understand. So fintech is the use of technology to solve the financial services problem. So certain problems really existed, and common people were not much satisfied with the way they were getting the services. So fintech came in to provide a solution to those problems which common people faced. So it's same, the traditional financial services segmentation is still there. Only the use of technology had it made it much more desirable or available to the common people. So this is how we define fintech: is the use of technology to solve the financial services problems. The problems which existed, a lot of those problems we could cater to, and many of these have gained momentum, or the services that we are availing now is a much more in a better way than we could have availed a few decades before. So financial services segmentation, what do we mean by those? So there are a few pointers which I have written. L is basically lending. So lending was there before, lending is also there now. But how the lending landscape has changed. So L is basically lending. P is basically payment. So payment was also there before, payment is also now, and it will be there in the future. So how that has changed and how it is going to change in the future. What do we mean by W and IM? W is wealth and investment management. So often people try to categorize this into two different names. So wealth management is very much personal, and investment management maybe for a broader audience. So which the portfolio managers often end up doing. And then I, the next fourth one, I is basically insurance, has been converted into insure tech. And the last one, RE, means regulation, has been converted into reg tech. So all these are there, only there has been an application of technology in each of these financial services which individuals or organizations provide. So the portfolio manager might be providing it, or any mutual fund organization might be providing it, or the market might be doing it. But the use of technology, which was not so pertinent in the previous decade, has become a part and parcel of the life in today's context. So I repeat, L is lending, P is payment, W and IM is wealth or investment management, I is insurtech, and R is regtech. So these are basically few of the important areas where there has been a lot of contribution of the technology, and that has led to the change in the ecosystem of this entire financial services sector, which we can tell that the fintech landscape has changed due to the application of technology in these of this financial services sector. So what are the technologies which has led to these financial services sector change and help the common individuals? Few of these important technologies are API, application programming interface. The next one is AI and machine learning. The third one is blockchain and DLT. DLT is digital ledger, distributed ledger technology. So blockchain is often told to be a distributed ledger technology, and how that is different from the other type of ledger technologies that we used to follow, that can be discussed. CC is actually cloud computing, EC is basically edge computing, and QC is basically quantum computing. So again, this is not an exhaustive list, but few of those technologies which have helped in this transformation, brought about a change in the way the financial services sector uh, has changed and helped the common people. So these are few of those technologies. And it's not again that only API is used and then the others are not used. So it can be a combination of all these technologies. But these are few of them, which has become an integral part of the financial services that we avail maybe in a day in and day out. So this is basically a brief representation, a pictorial representation of the fintech ecosystem. To coming with maybe these players, which you can see in the fintech ecosystem, like financial customers, technology developers, or fintech startups, or government, or the traditional financial institutions, they were there before. But the others have also come into being. The way they function, that has changed a lot. So coming to maybe the fintech ecosystem, that first thing that comes, what I was telling, technology is no longer the pertinent copyright or patent of the IT professional. Today's consumers, so where it lies this, so today's consumers basically here, the financial consumers. So initially whom used to tell as consumers, we are renaming them as financial consumers, because today's consumer are much more aware of the technological development, tools, methods, techniques. Today, technology is no longer the prerogative of IT specialists. So, and so companies, if they cannot change or transform their product to suit the need of this tech customers, so they are left behind. There lies the intervention of technology, which is forcing companies to rethink how they are developing the product, how they are designing the product, and how they are presenting it in front of the customers, so that the customers can avail the facilities provided by the company and they remain a permanent customer. So yes, we know in marketing that retaining a customer is much more important than gaining a new customer. So the companies need to think of those methodologies and tools, because gone are the days when traditional customers were not much aware of the technological developments or what the other peer group companies are providing. So these customers, which are basically individuals or organizations, can be B2B, it can be B2C, or any other form. So we need to fulfill the requirements of the customers with the help of technology, which has become an important thing, which all the companies are considering in today's context. The next important component is obviously the fintech startups. So the new technological so these basically they have new technologies which is helping the financial customers fulfill their needs. So how they are different from the other type of startups, because they're able to provide services at a lower cost, which is also economical, and that is why they can provide even keeping their profit margin in order to fulfill the needs of the customers, who are no longer simple customers but financial customers. And a lot of in these forms we find maybe the payment platform or the wealth management or lending or insurtech or other type of fintech companies. So they are in the process of developing new products, and they're able to do so and fulfill the needs because they are much more economical. According to the latest PwC report, we see that these fintech startups are eating about 80 to 85% of the market share of the traditional financial service providers. So now maybe insurance is not that important, but tech is more important. So you might have heard about the story of ACO and its development over a period of time. A lot of these online platforms are there. If I'm talking about even P2P platforms, so people might not again take loans or enter into payment and lending with regular banks. They might be using Faircent or Cash Kumar or Pesa Dukan. So crowdfunding platforms are also there. A lot of these are there, which is again people might not have thought maybe a decade before. So these startups are able to provide solutions to the common people's problem, and they're able to do so because the requirement of the consumers has changed over a period of time. So fintech startups is another important player in the fintech ecosystem. The third important player is obviously tech developers, one who is developing the technology. So and they're working with big datas, IoTs, clouds, and they are helping the fintech startups to provide all those facilities which we consumers want, either as individual or as organizations. So the tech developers really have an important role to play, but again a lot of changes are happening day in and day out, so they have to upgrade all those products. They need to be aware of what all changes we need to incorporate in the products and the services, so that the financial customer don't lose out with regard to those changes. So tech developers also is having a tough time, and there where I told that career opportunities are there with regard to tech developers, but they have to be very much thorough with regard to the technological developments that are happening, and you should be ready to bring about those changes in the product that you are designing or in the services that you are providing. Then one thing which is not there in this particular figure is platforms. So which is missing, but platforms is another important player in the fintech ecosystem. So we know about Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, and other types of platforms. So what do they have? They have huge amount of data. Whose data they have? They have data of the consumers. So they are able to leverage that data of the consumers, and with the experience, they are providing a tough and a stiff competition to not only the new fintech startups but to the traditional financial service providers like banks. Because if I have the data of the consumers, the demographic data, the use pattern, and obviously a certain ethical obligations are there with regard to how you can use the data. I know about their consumption pattern. I can predict their consumption pattern, and I can forecast in which direction I should design my product. So platform over a period of time has emerged as an important player in the fintech ecosystem. So we often tell that certain business models has to be designed specifically for platform. So we use in strategy, we often use something called business model canvas, where what you have to consider while designing your platform. And is it just a simple business model had it not been a platform, or certain other attributes become important? So platform is also an important player in the fintech ecosystem, which is not there in the figure, but I'm just telling that to you. Then obviously there are traditional financial institutions. So if I tell the banks are not there, no, it's not true. Banks are still there, who might not be using so much of those services which fintech companies are providing. So traditional financial institutions are still there, but either they are collaborating with the fintech companies, or they are acquiring certain fintech companies to get that work done, which they don't have the technological competence, because everything I cannot do it on my own. Either I gain help of some other companies who is technologically competent and helping me to develop the products and the services. But they're also trying to change their strategies, how to attract the millennials who can provide this products and services to the common people. Then there is government, but the role of government has become much more difficult now, because the regulations has to be quite different for the fintech companies and then with the traditional financial service providers. But they also have to be aware that if they're too much bureaucratic in terms of the laws, rules, and regulations, then this fintech ecosystem will not be able to develop. So you have to develop or design the laws, rules, and regulations such a way so these startups can develop. So a lot of policies are there which is designed by the government, and every year when the government comes up with the budget, certain things are there which is only specifically for startups. So the government also has to be very much careful while designing the regulations, rules, and laws, standard operating procedures with regard to how this fintech company should operate. They should not be too much, maybe what we call them, too much strict with regard to the laws, rules, and regulations. Otherwise, they will stifle this growth of the fintech ecosystem. So this ecosystem as a whole is important, and each has further maybe subdomains or subdivisions which can be studied in details. Just to give you a broader idea how this ecosystem has changed over the last decade, and that knowledge is obviously important, because if I tell that the banks operate in the same way as it was to operate 10 years back, then I would be wrong. So the post offices have become the payment banks. So what might have been the reason? So all these things become important. So again, this is just a brief pointer of those fintech ecosystem. So the consumers are important, the startups are important who are contributing, the tech developers are important, the fintech platforms are important, the traditional financial services providers who are also a part and parcel of the entire ecosystem is there, and government is there. To talk about what all technologies are being applied in this fintech ecosystem and how we are benefiting out of it. So I will discuss in detail about this benefits with regard to maybe how it is helping us to gain speed and if we may become more efficient, or how it is personalizing the services, how the process is being automatized, and how the traditional problems are removed, and how we can have access to increasingly sophisticated technologies. So what benefits we gain and why we are getting benefit, because certain technologies are used, and where lies the application. So that also becomes important. So a lot of lines might be written here, but I'll just briefly elaborate on what do we mean by speed and efficiency. So because I'm talking specifically of the fintech lending and the payment, so we all of us in some way or the other is using the mobile wallets. So Google Wallet or Apple or whatever UPI system that we use, so that might not have been thought maybe a few years back. So the revolution which UPI has brought out in the Indian context and in the global context is an enormous case study. And people are thinking of writing case studies on that UPI revolution. So not only that, maybe as consumers, the payment system also involves certain other benefits in the form of loyalty cards or boarding passes or concert tickets or coupons. So all these was also might not have been thought of a few years back. Another thing which has brought or enhanced the speed and efficiency is the P2P, which is peer-to-peer lending platform. So we often tell that financial inclusion is a mandate of the government, but maybe when we as individual want to get certain loans from the banks or certain other facilities from the bank, certain criteria we have to fulfill, which is not always possible. Maybe last three IT return or last 3 months salary slip, and this amount of income is required or certain witnesses for you to get a certain loan. So P2P platform has revolutionized the entire lending system. So it's peer-to-peer lending platform. The entire evolution of P2P in Indian context was brought about by a fair cent. So people who don't have that credit score. So what do we mean by credit score? Suppose in the US, FICO score matters. In the Indian context, you might be aware of certain scores like CIBIL score, Experian, or Equifax score. So if you don't have a legible score, then banks might not be willing you to give loans. So P2P platform has revolutionized the entire scenario of this lending and the payment. So if you even if you're not even eligible to get the loan, they will use certain of your information, maybe your age, your email ID, and maybe the last payment slip, and they will run their own algorithm and will find out whether you are really eligible for that loan amount or not. So initially, the journey which was started by Faircent, then Pesa Dukan, Cash Kumar, a lot of these P2P platforms have emerged. So anytime short-term loan, a mobile loan, a marriage loan, a car loan, so all these loans can be availed on these P2P platforms at a competitive rate. Even you might not qualify for all these loans for the banks. So they have this P2P platform is again mostly based on blockchain as an infrastructure. And then this platform basically acts as a liaison between two parties. Who are the two parties? One is the lender, one is the borrower. So I have, suppose, maybe a certain amount of money in excess, even after investing in the mutual fund or the stock market, or kept it in the post office, and then also I have an FD, and then I also have certain amount of excess money left. So what can I do with the money? I can use this P2P platform as an investment option, and the return which that this P2P platform gives is much higher than what I could have got had I invested in mutual funds or maybe in the stock market at a certain point of time. So that is why there is a lender and there is a borrower, and the P2P platform acts as a liaison in between them. So one who has money can use this platform for investment purpose and earn return. One who wants to borrow money, they can use this platform and borrow at a competitive rate. So this is something which has brought about a lot of change in the lending and the payment platform scenario of India. And in the global context, obviously, because renowned companies, Lending Club, they started the very first thing of P2P concept in US, and then in Indian context, we have a lot of these companies. Then fintech has also led to the uh, development and growth of the businesses to a large extent in the form of APIs. I was talking about application programming interface. So Stripe is one such company who provides this API, and they have clients like Amazon, BMW, Twilio. So what is the thing that API, the Stripe does? API is basically communication protocol for e-commerce site, and Stripe has made it easier for small businesses who cannot develop their own infrastructure but can use this API for a seamless movement of these transactions. So maybe sometimes when you have purchased goods on the Amazon, you see when you start to make the payment, they will drag you to a certain website, and you can seamlessly make the payment without again have to log into any other portal. So APIs or application programming interface makes the payment process easy. So they are the communication protocol for this e-commerce sites, and in specifically the Stripe, the company which has brought about this revolution, they work irrespective of the payment method. Means all merchants accept the payment irrespective of the devices involved. You can do it in laptop, mobile, app, or tab, and irrespective of the country. So Stripe itself will take the labor of foreign currency conversions. You don't have to bother about who will do it, or how much time you need to wait for it, or what maybe the transaction cost you incur in lieu of that. So everything they will take care of. You only need to access this particular API. Then this is also in Indian context, obviously India Stack. You might be knowing about it. So India Stack is the moniker of APIs in the Indian context, which was developed again with various layers in it. We can talk about that maybe afterwards. And then there is emergence of virtual currency. So we have heard about Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Bitcoin Cash. So these has also increased the speed in which the transactions can happen. Indian context, we talk about CBDC or e-rupees. So once all these are legalized, maybe the way we end up doing any of these transactions, maybe payment, lending, or insurance, or availing mutual fund services will become much more faster. We need not wait for those number of working days to get things done. Often a thing comes as stable coins. Stable coin are legalized currency which is backed by the forex. So there are certain countries like El Salvador which has legalized the Bitcoin. US also has stable coins. Indian context, we are trying to move a lot because the tax aspect of this is still not clear. Otherwise, CBDC and e-rupee, we have already started using it. Maybe at the wholesale level and the retail level, a lot of these tests are going on. But once this happens, you will find that the speed and efficiency improves. Biometric and tokenization is also another thing, because now is the age of non-fungible tokens, where which are like basically we can tell that suppose I'm very good artist, but I don't know that where I will end up selling this particular drawing, or sell this particular painting. Then there are platforms who converts this particular drawing into certain non-fungible tokens, and these non-fungible tokens can then be sold to another party, and I can receive maybe in crypto terms the monetary return with regard to this transaction happening. So non-fungible tokens has again gained momentum, and non-fungible tokens are also used as mortgages in today's context. In the developing world, a lot of countries in the Europe and the US, they are using non-fungible tokens as collaterals for taking loans. In India, we have still not started it, but non-fungible tokens or tokenization has become important, so that our identity is revealed by a hashtag and a number. So maybe you might have gone for any medical facilities at hospitals, you might have availed, you will find a lot of phone calls coming after that. So because your identity is revealed to the outside world, so here our identity will be in the form of a hashtag or a token, where people might not know about all those informations, which is really secret and confidential. Tokenization is also applied a lot in the US in the real estate context. Suppose I don't have the so much money to purchase a particular apartment in the Times Square, but I can just purchase one fourth of that property in Times Square. So one fourth of that can be purchased in the form of tokens. or maybe keeping the patient records or certain other critical informations where the names and identity should not be revealed because these are very secret informations. There also tokenization has been applied. But again, to tell you, a lot more of these applications are in the developed country context rather than in the Indian context. Publishing houses have started using tokenizations. So all these, maybe some of these is, again, this is not an exhaustive list. So if all these things in the form of mobile wallet or P2P in the form of API facilities, which e-commerces are using, e-commerce like Amazon, Myntra, Google, Walmart is using, or use of virtual currencies where it is applicable, or biometric and tokenization, has led to speed and efficiency of the entire system that we are talking about. And here, what all technologies, if I talk about, is being used? Obviously, the blockchain technology is one important thing which is used here because that is the platform. And then the other machine learning, IoT. So all these are also a part and parcel of it. So I will just ask TCS, if you do let me know, because I am in the flow, if there is a need to stop at this point of
This is
time,
going
or if
very
I can
interesting,
continue.
and I think everybody might be noting down the points as well. I would like to take just 2 3 minutes to explain the course. Okay.
Yes.
So, audience, as a part of the commitment to bringing you the best career opportunities, we are thrilled to present an exceptional program launched in collaboration with IIT Guwahati and TCS IN. So, my AV team will present the slide here. Okay. So the name of the course, meanwhile, the name of the course is AI in FinTech. This is presented by IIT Guwahati and TCS IN. Let the slide up. Okay. So as you can see on the screen, it's a 3-month certificate course by IIT Guwahati, 26 plus hours of overall world-class experiential learning. We have the flexibility in learning as well, weekend and weekday classes for working professionals as well. Live lectures and doubt clearing sessions from IIT, IIM, and NIT faculty, case study based learning as well. And if you talk about eligibility, students pursuing engineering, MBA, BBA, BCom, BSc, MSc, you all can apply for this course. And also the working professionals who have 0 to 3 years of experience and who want to build their career in fintech field. And the potential career paths will be like ML, Gen, AI, engineer, fintech. Ma'am has already mentioned all the roles, but to mark here, a data analyst in fintech, risk analytics specialist, fintech product analyst, blockchain engineer, cryptocurrency or DeFi specialist. And the average salary, what will range is from 7 to 20 lakhs. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay. So as I mentioned, there will be expert-led faculties. You can see all are from IIT Guwahati, some are from, ma'am is from IIT Shillong, I am Shillong. So, and hands-on expertise also will be there, DL and NLP, blockchain, financial data analysis, vibe coding, generative AI, autonomous agents in FinTech, and Python packages. And the commencement date is from 8th of October and completion date will be 15th of January. And please note, this is a launch offer of 11,499. So don't wait to register. Just click on the registration link, or you can scan the QR code as well. Already there in the on your screens. You can scan the QR code and directly register for the course. So in case if you have any problems, you can join our next webinar as well. We have our next masterclass on 13th, where Chiranjeev sir will also guide us on the AI in FinTech topic. So that's it. So again, I will hand it over to ma'am, if you can continue. Thank you.
Okay, so we were somewhere here. We were talking about how the entire fintech sector development has enhanced the speed and efficiency of the system, and how we as common people, as individuals, are benefited out of it. So one is this part. Another is personalization of services. So if I'm talking about the way the insurance sector operates has changed a lot. So technology might not have been a part and parcel of the insurance sector, but now we are aware of those smart watches or Apple watches. So insurance company don't necessarily depend on you to provide all this information. How do you drive a car? Maybe the brake times, the mileage, the times of the day when the vehicle is used, what is your behavior while you are driving the car, maybe and the number of signals that you have missed. You don't have to provide all these informations for your car insurance. So only by the smartwatch that you wear, or the Apple Watch that you wear, or certain devices which the insurance company might tell you to use when they want to design your insurance premium, is where we are moving into. So a lot of IoT and big data is being used to design all the insurance premium. We remember maybe even few years back when we used to take insurances, we used to think, okay, this is LIC table number 56 or 65. So gone are the days of homogeneous insurance policy. Heterogeneity is the talk of the town. Your insurance policy need not be same as that of the others. So it should be very much customer specific, because your requirements are different, your behavior is different, the way you live your life is different. So your policy and the other similar type of people, maybe your friend or a colleague, need not be same. So what is the role of artificial intelligence here, or machine learning? So they are able to analyze the data of this individual which they collect, maybe all these IoT devices, at a granular level, and break open the cost into variable, semi variable, and the fixed cost, and they think of ways how to reduce the fixed cost and have a control over the variable cost. Objective is to accurate risk assessment, and design your policies which is much more customized, and your coverage is much more customized compared to a generalized policy which you used to provide before. A lot of the work is also happening with the help of machine learning. So suppose I can talk of an example, real life example of Tinch, which is an optimization tool. They break open the proprietary data of the insurance companies and try to reduce the claims by running their own algorithm, and most of the insurance companies have been able to reduce this undesirable claims to a large extent, because flood, hurricane, or certain types of unforeseen circumstances cannot be predicted properly. And a lot of the money of this insurance company goes for that. So Tinch is that optimization tool which use algorithms and try to reduce the claims of these unforeseen circumstances, and helping companies to reduce risk at the bottom line. And that is what the companies require, because they also have to maintain profit and be sustainable and run a business. Another important thing which is also happening is microfinance, which I was telling, that maybe we always thought of policies, or we always thought of products which are for those maybe at the urban people, or those with at the middle income group. We might have left out those people who also need these services. There the microfinance has come in, and the microfinance institutions or a women's self-help group, all these are now which are specifically backed by NBFCs or non-banking finance companies, have also started to use a lot of these tech products, so that they can the reason behind the cost is less and the coverage is more. And it becomes easily accessible to the common people at an affordable cost. And this is a sector which we have always ignored over a period of time. Not only there has been a mandate of the government, but to have a holistic development, and so these strata of the population should not be left out. So technology is not only for the rich, technology should also be for the poor. Then segment customers and personalize their offerings, which obviously I was telling, the insurance company has changed a lot, and you have a personalized offerings. There is a Policy Genius as a platform which provides a comparative analysis, like a trip, like the way we have Trip Advisor. So Policy Genius is also an insurance platform where you can compare the policies and select what best suits you, depending upon your age, your income, the type of policy that you want, and all these are affordable at a very less cost. So ACO also does some of those services. So the thing is, with the help of IoT and big data, these companies are able to gather those informations and run their own algorithm, and are able to provide customized services which we might not have thought a few years before, or maybe a decade before. There where the change is happening, and that is why the better terminology is used is not insurance but insure tech. And a lot of because insurance so far in the Indian context has not penetrated to that extent at the other type of financial services or financial products. So a lot of scope and opportunities also there with regard to these sector, because we already had only few pertinent players, not many of those companies had come up. Another thing where we find automation of services in the financial services is robotic process automation. So those who are investing in stock market, they know about how the Zerodha has changed a lot of our lives. So Zerodha, Upstock, Fisdom. So if you want to avail the hybrid facility, so there can be one-to-one human interaction. There are also robo advisors who does the work of portfolio management for us. So maybe chances of reducing errors, more accurate, which helps in increasing the process efficiency, automate the sales cycle, and maybe get the desired return what we think of or what we expect out of investing in the stock market. So a lot of these companies are using robotic process automation. The robo wealth manager is the talk of the town now, but again, I would be wrong if I tell talk of the town, because that has emerged over a period of time. So people can go for hybrid options. People can go for, if the people want a human touch, they can talk with an individual. If people want intervention of robo advisors and human, both are there. So I was talking about Policy Genius as a platform. So robotic process automation has also brought about a change in the way the capital management happens. Maybe for a portfolio manager or for a mutual fund manager who is in charge of managing the AUM, asset under management, or who is in charge of designing where the actual funds of the individuals to be invested in. So robotic process automation is also used there. Why is this used is because, as I was telling, the manual errors are reduced to a large extent, and as common individuals we can trust on those organizations and the services that they provide, the processes that they use. We gain much more reliability on them, and then we do not think twice on the fees which they are charging. For the company perspective, the company also is able to provide these services at a lower cost, and that is why, which is much more available or easily accessible or available to us. Another thing which has brought about the revolution is smart contract. Smart contracts are blockchain transactions which are event triggered. So here also the underlying platform is blockchain. Smart contract means which doesn't require any middleman. So if I'm talking about government benefit distributions, so government has a lot of schemes where all these monetary benefits passes from the central government to the state and then to the municipalities, panchayat level, and the other further below. So often we find that due to the presence of middlemen in between, the actual amount which the government thought of transferring to the people below the poverty line doesn't reach in time. So smart contract, which is based upon the blockchain as a platform, can eliminate all those issues. So direct benefit transformation, what we call the direct benefit transactions, or in case of maybe income tax. So the income tax department, the customs department have started using smart contracts. Then a medical record keeping, which I was telling is very crucial and significant and which is critical. So there also smart contracts are used, a benefit can be achieved. Then supply chain management, customs contract. So all these are places where smart contract to a certain extent in Indian context we have started using. So these are what if transaction, what we think of Bayes theorem. So if one thing happens, the other thing will automatically happen. You don't have to depend on any person to get it done. So one after another in sequence, they are defined and they happen one after another in sequence, and the process is done in a very shorter period of time without the intervention of the common people. And there lies the benefit of blockchain, because the blockchain is decentralized, which is not under any single people's control. So it's efficient, it's seamless, it's accurate, and it's intelligent. And that is the benefit of this distributed ledger technology. Otherwise, the previous systems that we ended up following, where interventions of middlemen was there. So maybe prior to blockchain, there were also relational database and other forms of ledger technologies where there. How is blockchain different? Because blockchain, no one can tamper the record. It's tamper resistance. Uh, if something happens in the system, other people also gets aware of it. So, and you cannot change the entire system without the consensus of everyone. So everyone at the same point of time, staying in different parts of the world, can see what you are doing with the system. And that is why smart contract is also used, having blockchain as an underlying platform. So this automation of services, where I was just telling, that robotic process automation, smart contracts, so all these technologies has brought about a change in the way the financial services sector is functioning today. And that has become obviously due to the evolution of technology. Another thing which again this insurance sector faces, I've given a few of those company's name here, Lemonade and Friend Insurance, because those who are dealing with insurance or taken in insurance products might have heard these terms: conflict of interest, fraud, moral hazard, or adverse selection. So as an insured, the company have an objective not to pay the money, but as an insurer means one who has taken the insurance, we always want the money back at times of need. So this conflict of interest to a large extent has been solved by companies like Lemonade, where you don't have to wait for days to get your desired money, which you have paid over a period of time in the form of premiums. So they do all this within maybe a few hours. So once you have the document, you upload the document in the chatbot. The chatbot will verify through their own algorithm that what you have taken the policy, your background, and maybe this is you are eligible to get the money back out of the insurance, and they process it within minutes. We don't have to wait for days and months to get a money back. So yes, Lemonade is an US based company, but we have a lot of things to learn from them, how they have been functioning over a period of time. But Lemonade is also separate in one other context, also not only being a first service provider, but also in terms of what they are doing for the society. This is not CSR activity, but everyone who avails the insurance policy from Lemonade, they at the very first instance they are told, suppose you're investing $100, so $20 will be for the society, and the $80 will be paid for your reinsurance or the payment. People are aware, still people end up investing there, and the company pertinently is using this amount of money for social causes, or to help the common people, or maybe for any of the environmental, clean water, clean energy, and green energy specifically in today's context. So Lemonade has transformed the insurance sector from a necessary evil to a social cause. Similar other companies, Friend Insurance, which talks about, we might have heard about group insurance policy. So Friend Insurance also has a social business model where maybe all the people in the similar company are put into one particular group insurance. If any claim is made, the group insurance goes down, but no one has to end up paying more because one is sacrificing at the cost of the others. So there develops a sense of belongingness that yes, even if you are colleagues, we are doing it for a common cause. So friend insurance is also promotes responsible claims behavior. It's not that only when something happens in the family we are bothered about. It's also that when something happens to our colleague with whom we are spending maybe from 9 to 5, that also bothers us. So Lemonade or friend insurance types of companies have revolutionized the insurance sector. And all this has been possible with the use specifically of IoT and blockchain. So if you, in case you're interested, you can visit the websites of Lemonade and Friend Insurance in order to understand how they had been doing it. But yes, in the Indian context, if we talk about is the insurance companies in the Indian context doing that, to specifically talk about what Lemonade and Friend Insurance is doing, yes, we are not doing it. But yes, there are restrictions with regard to culture, the people, the policy. But these can be taken as idle benchmarks, which we can end up following. And that is also for the common people. And so this is also there. Maybe what we was talking about, financial inclusion has become a mandate. And so how the technologies are helping us to fulfill that mandate. This is just a representation maybe in financial services sector context, if I'm talking about what all fintech companies are there, and obviously job opportunities and scope is there. So in the payment landscapes, we have heard about Paytm, PhonePe, MobiWix, Razorpay. So all these are there, which are pertinent companies who have played an important role and revolutionized the Indian fintech landscape. In the lending context, also we have, I was talking about FairSend, the P2P platform. A lot of this is there. Capital Float provides working capital loans also to small businesses, MSMEs, SMEs. Insurance, what used to be not known so much, is these type of companies which have emerged over a period of time. Yes, Acco is missing, so Acco is also a pertinent player. Then Investec is Zerodha, Cred, Scriptbox, Upstock we are talking about, and Zerodha. So they are in the Investec. And blockchain platforms are also there, which has to be a part and parcel of this entire thing. Otherwise, things might not happen in the way, because that is the underlying platform. And other types of companies are also there. So I'll just very briefly talk about lending, because depending on the time that we have. So lending is basically the core of banking, and lending and payment both are core of banking. And the global financial crisis, the COVID situation, has brought about a change how the lending and platform the payment system has evolved over a period of time. Because with the global financial crisis, the lending was not happening in that momentum as used to happen before. The interest rate yield was also low. So what could have been done? That provided opportunities for the fintech companies. Fintech companies also had one more pertinent advantage, was regulations. Rules were not much well defined. So people who wanted to avail credit within a shorter period of time at an affordable cost compared to that of the banks, they could do it. Technology also helped in solving a lot of other problems which was there, like access and convenience. What do I mean by access? Access means, like I was telling, in US context, FICO score matters. So if you don't have a certain amount of FICO score, you are not eligible to get credit, either from banks or any financial institutions. In Indian context, I was telling CIBIL score, Equifax, or CRIF. So all this score really matters. But fintech has opened that platform. You need not necessarily have those pertinent scores to avail credit. So it has become much more accessible to common people. And convenience is also another thing which has become much easier. So like, I have given few things like Cabbage. What is Cabbage? Cabbage processes loan applications within minutes. Wonga is a payday loan provider, and Zopa is a fintech platform. So if you're interested, you can explore these fintech platforms who have changed the lending landscape to a large extent. But all these would be much more exhaustive or holistic if these fintech companies collaborate with the banks. As I told in the very first few slides of the fintech ecosystem, traditional financial service providers are always there. But the way they do business, that needs a change. That transformation is still not happening in developing economy context like India. But if others are following it, maybe we are also in a position to collaborate or coordinate or with the fintech companies and avail those services at a much lower cost. And once the company is able to do it at a much more lower cost, they're able to pass on that benefit to the customers. So this often is helpful. And another is also payment. So payment specifically, two things which I just wanted to focus on with regard to payment is competition and collaboration. Suppose we might have heard about the M-Pesa revolution which happened in the Kenya, and that revolution was brought about by a non-fintech company which was a Vodafone. So they thought, if people can talk with regard in respect of the mobile phones, why can't mobile money transfer be done? So M-Pesa revolution is a revolution which is obviously an HBR case study which talks about mobile money transfers. Then if we are aware of, maybe Zella is again mobile money transfer which happened in the US, and that was done by Wells Fargo and BofA. Collaboration also happens. Suppose we tell that two companies which are unrelated, can they collaborate and do some or devise certain product and the services which can be helpful to the people? Yes, that has happened when PayPal and JP Morgan and Chase, they collaborated with JP Morgan customers, were able to redeem their bonus points and pay through PayPal. So a lot of these, so I have written those about Zelle, which is in Wells Fargo and BofA, online payment, mobile payment transfer that happens. So M-Pesa is also a story. So PayPal is also another use case which can be used. We already talked about wealth management and investment management. Just to tell you in brief that what Zerodha and Upstock is doing, and a lot of these benefits we are getting in the Indian context also, in terms of portfolio construction, rebalancing, and monitoring, which used to be done by individuals, is done by robo wealth, robo managers, or robo advisors, and there lies the job opportunity. So if you have the domain competence, you have the skill, so then robo advisory is one of the areas where maybe you are the one who is training those robos. So robo wealth is there, but you work in collaboration with the robo. So robo wealth managers plus the human touch is what, as common people, we are generally asking for while we end up investing in the financial market. Here also a lot of AI applications are there. Machine learning and algorithms are being used because people want those solutions in minutes. Because within a moment, and specifically when you're talking about algo trading, within a moment the entire portfolio changes. I want this information in a minute, and that too in an accurate manner at the lowest possible cost. So mobile channels do play an important role, but and all these have been possible. Real time insights has been possible with obviously this big data analysis being done by AI and machine learning. For a company perspective also, they have helped them to reduce their cost to a large extent. Not only did they move the entire operations in cloud, but also since it is done by with the help of technology by the robo wealth managers, so they're able to provide it at a much more lower cost, and that has become economical from their sense also. InsurTech we also talked about, so I will not elaborate much, just that Here, which is important is automated underwriting, auto-adjusted claims, and automated financial advice. Because insurance is such a sector, we don't have too much of interface. Once when we take the policy, and maybe once we meet again with the agents or the company, once the policy matures. But we want a seamless experience to happen, which is not always that. So use of IoT, big data, and smart, obviously the smart watches, what we call into this context, all these has led to a revolution in this sector. NLP also has an enormous contribution here. By interviewing the individuals, we can gauge what type of policy you need. So, Prudential Financial Inc., which is a renowned company, they're using NLP to design their products. Natural language processing, and they can understand your needs, your behavior, and that too maybe just asking you a few questions, which can be one-to-one human interaction, or a machine just asking those questions in the chatbot, and the reply that you are getting from the chatbot, they're able to design the product. So these the product designing, so the role of actuaries to a large extent has reduced. So these have helped. Regulation in another aspect which was not so much affected by the technology, but yes, regtech companies have emerged over a period of time who are incorporating technology while any decision making. I was talking about anti-money laundering or KYC or GPDR or PSD 2 or 3. So all these transformations over a period of time, and since in Indian context we also have a Digital Data Protection Act, so regulation has become much more important, because ethical and governance issues are important thing when we talk about all these technologies. At the individual level or at the organizational level. So, and these legal obligations need to be looked into. A lot of companies like Reg Room or others are providing these services, and you can find, depending upon the type of services you want, they can design those customized products for your company. To be frank, maybe in case of SEBI, IRDA, or AMFI, a lot of these regulators are using the products which are developed by these regtech companies. And there lies the changes in the way how the regulations are operating. I'll depending upon the time, do let me know, but I can end here. Maybe digital banks or neo banks have emerged over a period of time where there is everything is virtual. So I'm not talking about metaverse, which is being used in the industry, but I'm talking about virtual banks and how they are able to provide the services like Monzo or Jupiter or Razorpay type of companies. So they are able to provide the services without any franchisee model. So they don't, everything is virtual. The lending and the payment system is everything managed through an app. So they don't have their physical assets, and that is why they don't incur all those overhead costs. They're able to provide the services at the fastest possible time and at the minimum cost which is available. So a lot of these has emerged over a period of time, which has brought about a revolution in the fintech sector and the financial services that we end up availing. As time permits, today we don't have time, but you can explore India Stack, which is the API in the Indian context, and that also has various layers, which was designed by NPCI, where DEPA is one of the layer, where AgriTech is one of the layer, AgriTech platform. So those can be also looked into, maybe the development that is happening in the Indian context with regard to the global context. I think we can end here. We can, if that is okay, and we can take questions.
Yeah, I think, ma'am, that's really engaging and interesting to know how AI can be leveraged in fintech field. So earlier, what I think earlier it was beyond imagination, but now it's the reality, as ma'am already mentioned in her masterclass. So let's quickly take the first question. So, ma'am, Abhiram is asking, how can fintech ecosystem contribute to greater financial inclusion, particularly for underserved populations and emerging economies? If you can talk about the challenges and opportunities in this ecosystem.
Yes, because what I was initially telling, that the initially these technological products or the use of technology in designing the product and services was mostly catering to the top strata of the population. That may be for the richer people or the urban people. But with regard to because financial inclusion being a mandate now, so you can look into certain of these websites like AirPay. So there are certain platforms like AirPay who are bringing digital financial services to the semi-urban and the rural regions in India. Because 60% of these fintech users, as per the latest KPMG report, are now not in tier 1 cities, but in tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India. And digital lending has progressed a lot compared to the previous few years. So you can search AirPay or SmartCoin Financial or Kosh. So these are type of companies who are specifically catering to this digital financial services which common people can avail. And again, as I was telling, the tier 2, tier 3 cities of India are major users of this. So these are few of the companies. Again, I was talking about P2P like Cash Kumar, Paisa Dukan or Faircent lending type of companies where you are not qualified to get credit because you don't have those scores, but you can avail those platforms and meet your regular needs, maybe a marriage loan or a car loan or a personal loan, where if you go to a bank, because if you don't fulfill the criteria, you might not end up getting the money. But these type of platforms have come up to solve the problems of these common people. And maybe NBFCs, the non-banking finance companies, through which actually money channelizes to the rural people, they have entered into collaborations with a lot of these fintech companies.
Right, right. Thank you, ma'am, for answering that. I will club two lastly. First is that Somnil is asking ki I am from a purely non-tech background, so it will be difficult for me to start this journey in fintech where AI is also involved. How I can start? First of all, this question, and second is how this course will help, ma'am, to all the students, whether they are working professionals, non-IT or IT, since you are from the industry and from the academia. So your guidance, please.
See, again, I would tell that that is why I told maybe what all competence you need to develop over this period of time. You might be having a non-technological background, but learning technology in today's context is not that difficult. You need not be a coder because today is not required. That all this GPT does. So coding is now taken care by the GPTs. But you need to interpret that. Means what has been done by them, because a lot of these involves hallucination. GPT-5 people are telling us an improvement which is much more math oriented, but we need to be aware of the technology, where people used to think technology means I have to do programming, I have to do coding, but a lot of those concepts have been overcome. You need not be a coder, you need not be a pertinent need not have pertinent knowledge of all the programs, but you can also you have scope in this particular area. Because I was talking about maybe fintech product manager. Yes, maybe certain of the technology context can be used, but what is more required is you need to be aware of the behavioral models. Why will I as an individual use this product vis-a-vis the other available products in the peer group? So what is the behavioral intent of mind and how it is different from the individuals? So a lot of mental models, neural network models are there, where specifically technology is not used to a large extent, but your contribution in creative design thinking is much more required. Or if I talk about the scope in tokenization or smart contract or DeFi or decentralized finance, there also these are basically very hard terminologies, but not that much of those technologies are used. Maybe certain technology knowledge obviously will be required to gain a core competence in this particular area. But again, we should get out of that idea that I have to be technologically competent. Maybe I need to know everything with regard to Java, JavaScript, Python, or maybe SQL. But this program is designed basically to teach you those few languages. And it has been designed in such a way so that you can get hold of those, means you can learn those in a manner, and there is a hands-on practice. But this are have become in a some way basic requirement of the society now. We cannot tell that no, we will not do this, but we want to get a job or have a good career opportunity here. The program covers a lot of these, the basic essentials which will be required, and certain hands-on practices also there, so that you can develop confidence in using it. But again, to that extent of programming need not be always required, depending upon in which area you want to apply or what career opportunities you are looking for. So yeah, as I also told about embedded finance integration engineers. So you just need to know how API applications are there in e-commerce or logistics or SaaS platforms. You might not yourself do it. So there are a lot of other people doing it. You might have to look at a much more broader level, how how it will be implemented into the system, and maybe what strategic implication it has.
Right.
I hope I
Yeah,
have
right.
been able to answer your query.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering and guiding us. I will take the last question, which what I felt is interesting. Divyanshu Yadav is asking, I am ready. I'm already working as a business system analyst with fintech organization, which provide lending product NBFCs as well. So, what are the technologies I can excel myself for the growth?
That often depends upon your job requirement, because if you're already working somewhere and you want to move on to the next level, so you should be aware of what has been used, what has been in use in your company. But as I was telling, the programming part in today's context has become important. So Python, JavaScript, or smart contract languages like Solidity, or maybe cloud type of AWS, Azure, all these are required. Certain tools like TensorFlow, PyTorch, Scikit-learn, often simple visualization tools like Power BI. So these are also important. If I talk about specifically in the finance context and the blockchain and the crypto context, so we need to know what all technologies are used in the DeFi platform. So maybe certain hands-on work with Ethereum or Solana or maybe Polygon type. So these are there. But what more is important in the fintech domain is certain frameworks. As I was talking about certain certifications like CAMS and CM, so certain frameworks which are essentially used in the fintech sector is like NIST type of framework or SOC framework, which are crucial in digital finance. So these frameworks also can help in gaining those knowledges which might be required in the work that you are doing. But yes, certain things can be very much again company specific also, because today we cannot tell, "Oh, I don't know means GDPR or PSD 3 type." So what are these? Because PSD 2 moved on to PSD level 3. So what are these and how it has a global application? How much of that is used in the Indian context? And obviously anti-money laundering, KYC, automations, which is the Indian government specifically. I don't know the company that you're working for. If your client is foreign, obviously those regulations changed, but the Indian context and the global context. So these automations are happening, and how that is changing the entire fintech scenario, that also one needs to be aware of, or get himself or herself upgraded.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I hope, Divyanshu, hope you get your answer. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for answering that. And to all our participants, I hope you today's session inspired you. Don't stop here. Take the next step and enroll in the program designed by IIT Guwahati in collaboration with TCS. And ma'am has already guided us on how this program will help you to start your future journey, or if you are a working professional or just started, you can take this course and start your journey. And it's your not the last chance. You can start from here as well. It's your chance to build in demand skills and get career ready with guidance from the best. And lastly, a heartfelt thank you to our esteemed speaker, Mohsin ma'am, for sharing such wonderful insights into the future of AI in fintech and how learners can make the most of this growing field. So thank you once again, ma'am, for your valuable time, and thank you, audience, for today's session and coming to this webinar. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you.